Good evening. Hi, everyone. This is Gosia Wachowska speaking to you from Berlin. I am among these wonderful women here that you see on the screen. You have just joined the panel discussion that is called Alliances Beyond Borders. I have a pleasure to be one of the moderators of this session, but the floor really belongs to the ones that you see here that are women of Polish origins, and not only who are active as feminist activists in Spain and in England. I will give you a little context why we're meeting tonight. Well, on January 27th this year, a new law came to force in Poland. According to this law, abortion is legal only in cases when the pregnancy is a result of a criminal act or when the woman's life is or health is at risk. We had seen that happen since October last year when the law was first announced. As this clearly was a violation of human rights, thousands of people in Poland and abroad, and thank you for that, held protests against that law. So these nationwide protests and international protests continued, and the ruling party delayed the introduction of the ban. In Poland, women who qualify for a legal procedure very often face the challenges of having one, such as the stigma that surrounds the issue. And I know you know it from other countries too. It's not only the Polish case. Women's rights groups estimate that over 100,000 Polish women seek an abortion, many yearly, many of them abroad, where women's rights activists and associations prove to be extremely helpful, dedicated, and well organized. And that's very important because we have seen major drawbacks of women's rights over the last months in various parts of Europe. I will just recall some after the Feminist Europe platform. The withdrawal of the Istanbul Convention by Turkey in March this year. Political parties in Hungary claiming that the Istanbul Convention is a gender ideology. We've seen that happen also in Poland, Bulgaria, and other countries. I see you rolling your eyes because it's insane, but that's how they present the topic. The new bill in Greece that says that survivors of gender-based violence, mostly kids and women, have to keep in contact with their perpetrators. Or last but not least, the inhuman treatment of women introduced by the new abortion ban in Poland. The host of tonight's event is the International Council of Polish Women, which was established in 2021. We have united across borders internationally to represent and support women abroad, to take actions for the equality of women, and last but not least, to build solidarity and cooperation with sister organizations everywhere in the world. I want to welcome you very warmly to the panel. Thank you for being with us tonight. And I'm passing the floor to Joanna.
Thank you so much, Gosia. So I have a big pleasure to be a second moderator of today's event. And Grüezi from Zurich, from Switzerland. My name is Joanna, and I am a part of die Woche Schweizaria. And I have a big pleasure to say a couple of words about our panel and to welcome our great panelists. So this is a second time we are actually having this panel, the cross-border panel. So the first panel took place on 10th of March, and it's also available on YouTube, and you can also have a look at other panelists who did an amazing job. And so the goal of the panel is really to understand what is happening cross-border, what kind of alliances we are having, what kind of allies they are, and how they collaborate with each other to support themselves. It's women supporting women despite, the origins, and it's incredible to see how robust it works and how many incredible organizations are supporting women all over the Europe, and not necessarily in the Europe, but currently we are staying within the Europe borders. So the first part of our panel is going to be divided into two countries. So we have UK and Spain. And for UK, I would like to warmly welcome Weronika Krupa from die Woche London. Alicia Pawłowska from Tell Someone, and then Mara Clark from Abortion Support Network. Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for having the time to join this panel tonight. And then we are moving a little bit in Europe, and we are welcoming our guests from Spain. So Natalia Gurzyńska, welcome from Manifestacja Madrid, and Patricia Cabellos from, also from Madrid. Patricia is actually activist in many organizations. For instance, the feminist movement in Belgium, also the feminist movement in Madrid. So we have a very active ladies tonight. And how our panel will look like. So we will have 4 minutes per country. So each of the organization can present themselves. So they can answer the very basic question, who are they? Which organizations they are working with, or which organization they are supporting. What's the local and national context, and what's the relationship between the fellow groups. It's also really interesting to share some insights, maybe some interesting stories of what work and how you establish the relationship. And if you are still thinking about establishing the relationship, it will be really interesting to learn more about collaborations ideas which you may have. So without further ado, I am leaving the stage for our colleagues from UK. Thank you very much.
Veronica, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone. My name is Veronica, and I am a student here in London. I've been protesting against restricting the abortion law since high school, and this year I joined Dziewuchy London, which is a collective inspired by the Polish feminist movement, Dziewuchy Dziewuchom. In Polish, that would be Girls for Girls. We have been present on London's activist platform since the first protest way back in 2016. We've organized numerous protests, walkouts, and manifestations regarding women's rights in Poland and internationally. In 2018, we took part in the Women of the World Festival in South Bank Centre and in London's Festival of Choice later in the same year. Our activity is very multidisciplinary. We advocate for political change, support Polish and international artists, and educate people here in the UK. We have organized many protests and manifestations, not only in support of people of Poland, but also concerning other topics, such as abortion rights in Ireland and Northern Ireland, or against the rising levels of xenophobia in the UK. We have provided informative content about the Polish elections through social media, and we are committed to not only engage people in feminist activity, but also in educating them about their rights as citizens. And most recently, after the 22nd of October Constitutional Tribunal decision, we organized protests outside the Polish embassy in London and in London's Piccadilly Circus. We have co-organized protests with Tell Someone About Poland, and we created a fundraiser for Abortion Support Network, both of whom are here with us today. And yeah, Dziewuchy London is a group that's dedicated to not only supporting the people of Poland, but also raising awareness and educating citizens of the UK. And yeah, I hope that this event will result in a nice conversation about alliances and solidarity. Thank you.
Mara, would you like to go ahead?
Sure, thanks. My name is Mara Clark. I'm the founder of an organization called Abortion Support Network, which I'm very proud to say was the first abortion fund in Europe. We initially started in 2009 to help people in Ireland, Northern Ireland, and the Isle of Man travel to access safe abortion. That kept us very busy. After we started, we, a few other groups also started. A group in Germany called Trzecia, helping women from Poland travel to Berlin. Then we found out that there was a forum in Poland called Kobiety Wyszewsi, which was like literally the only place you could go in Poland for unbiased information about all of your pregnancy options and morning after pill and birth control. Then the 2016 Black Monday protests happened, and a group called the Abortion Dream Team started. And then a little while after that, a group called the Abortion Network Amsterdam. And then, of course, there's organizations earlier. It was said that about 100,000 women per year in Poland get abortion abroad. Get abortion, and they're mostly abroad. Actually, the majority of people who get abortions these days get them in Poland with pills, which are on the World Health Organization's list of essential medicines. And they can be taken very safely up to about 14 weeks. And even that, it doesn't get dangerous. After 14 weeks, it gets less effective. But then after that, yes, you need to travel, you need to access an abortion in a clinic, and that gets very expensive. And so we, like I said, we started with Ireland, Northern Ireland, and the Isle of Man in early 2019 after the provision started in the Republic of Ireland up to 12 weeks. And so we were able to lose that bit of work, I guess, although there are still people from Ireland who need to come. We then expanded to Malta and Gibraltar. And then in December of 2019, we launched the Abortion Without Borders, or dear Lord, excuse my Polish, Abortion Bez Granik initiative, which is a partnership of Kobiety Wyszewsi, the Abortion Dream Team, Women Help Women, Trzecia, Abortion Network Amsterdam, and the Abortion Support Network. So we started helping people from Poland, Poland being a larger country than all of our other countries put together. And then shortly after we opened a group called Abortion Without Borders, Europe shut because of COVID, which made our work a lot more complicated, but not impossible. And then, of course, the ruling happened on the 22nd of October. And then the ruling was published on the 27th. And I just want to give some context, because while, yes, it's true, abortion is now legal in cases of pregnancy as a result of crime, so rape or incest, or in cases to save a woman's life, the fact of the matter is, when fetal indication abortion was legal, 98% of the 1 to 2,000 legal abortions done were done for fetal indication. It is virtually impossible to prove that you were raped, or to prove that an abortion will save your life. And I could tell you really disgusting situations. Even people with fetal indication had trouble. So basically, the symbiosis here is that groups like Tell Someone About Abortion and Just Not Going to Pronounce Your Organization, Veronica, I get made fun of terribly every time I try and speak Polish, so I don't even try, and I'm sorry. Yeah. So I've just seen a note saying that I've been given more time. Great. Let me talk about abortion. So other groups in Poland, the Women's Strike, all sorts of organizations, even like the bigger international groups, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty, all these people, they're sort of putting pressure on the politicians, and they're trying to change what we say, win the case in the court of public opinion, and get the people of Poland to, change their mind. Well, not the people of Poland, but the kangaroo courts of Poland, to change their minds. So they're sort of the cure to the problem, which is to get law changed so that anybody who needs an abortion in Poland can get one in Poland. And we are sort of the right now solution. So somebody who needs an abortion right now, they can call our helpline in Poland, which is open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then they are given information about what needs to happen next based on their circumstances. And then, of course, there's people who contact all of our partner organizations directly. But I would say, like the 6 groups together are easily hearing from well over 1,000 people a month. maybe 1,500. So, and we're just like tiny. We're like little tiny organizations funded by private individuals. And I like the term women helping women, but I just also want to make clear that we are a gender inclusive organization, and we take people of any and all genders, and we help people of any and all genders get abortions. Also, our only criteria is if we have money in the bank and if somebody has financial need. We don't ask people how they got pregnant or why they want abortions. That's not our business. And while I'm appreciative of the Black Monday protests and of the massive protests that have happened on the 22nd of October, the fact of the matter is, up till then, Poland had the fourth worst law in Europe, and now Poland is merely tied for second. Malta still holds the crown. So for me, it's less about Polish people and it's more about abortion and access to abortion, and I'm equal opportunity on that. And now I'll shut up and let Alicia talk.
Thank you, Mara, for that. I don't think I have as much as you to say, because Tell Someone About Poland is actually a very, very young, and it's not even an organization. I would call it more of a collective, because as a result of the decision issued by the tribunal on the 22nd of October, there was a lot of anger among Polish citizens abroad, and our organization, or our collective, is actually born out of this anger and those emotions that are connected with that judgment. And how it started is very interesting, because it's just a group of people that randomly put itself together. And our form of the protest is basically screening graphics connected with Dziewuchy Dziewuchom or with Strajk Kobiet, or simply some materials that we create ourselves, and to screen them in different parts of London. So if somebody knows a great, nice flat wall to screen things onto, we are very much interested because we will be resuming our activities soon, as the lockdown is now eased here in the UK. So coming back to our origins, so as we started, those were just a couple of people, but I jumped in a little later on because I've been actively looking for opportunities to get involved, but because it was lockdown introduced, lockdown eased, and everything like that, it was not really clear how you can get involved and how can you help. And then I've noticed those screenings going on all around London, and I contacted the people who are responsible for them, and not to report them, but to actually help them out. I guess that our activities mostly involve those screenings, and we would like to, through those screenings, we actually engage in communication with the locals. So it attracts attention. People stop and they ask, oh, what is it? What is this country? Like, what is happening? And we just stand there and we explain what is happening in Poland and why we are actually standing here in the dark, terribly cold, and still screening and still eager to talk to people about what is happening in Poland. So we were also screening some materials about how the police violence was actually impacting people who were protesting. And that attracted actually a lot of attention. And since then, because we are called Tell Someone About Poland, we thought it is necessary to set up at least like an Instagram account where we will put information that people can fast forward to other people, to their friends, to their family, and share the information about what is happening currently in Poland in terms of women's rights. And this was actually a great success, at least like among even my network. I know that people were approaching me asking, look, I've read this article, BBC, The Guardian, or anywhere else, and they were asking me about the information that they can share on their networks. And I was giving them what we were posting on Tell Someone About Poland, and I've been inviting people from all over the world who are living in London to come over and have a conversation about women's rights. And And I think that our activity will continue to be informing, and showing actually what is happening in what is wrong with the Polish legal system and how it is abusing women's rights. And that is going to be it from me. Thank you.
Very informative, and I think for me it's fascinating how each of your organization is tackling the problem differently, and how many various ideas, including the screening idea, which is actually super cool idea for the COVID times. I'm sure there will be probably some questions in the next part of our panel regarding work on your organizations. And now I am leaving the stage for our colleagues from Spain.
Okay, hi everyone. Hi Patricia, how are you? Nice to see you again. I'm Natalia, and I'm a 20-year-old student here in Madrid. I moved here in August 2020, and right away, when the whole horror of abortion started in Poland, I knew that. Can you hear me?
Sorry. Yes, Natalia, it's a little bit, the quality is not so good. Can you try please again?
Can you hear me now, maybe?
Yeah, now it's much better. Yes, thank you.
Okay. So I will try again then. I'm Natalia, I'm a 20-year-old student here in Madrid, and I came here in August 2020, and right away in October, when the whole horror, is it bad again?
Yes, unfortunately, yes. So maybe we can give the voice to Patricia for the time being, and we will give you a moment to figure out the technical, the technical connection. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so thank you, and hi Natalia. I hope you can fix your microphone soon. Okay, so my name is Patricia. I am a PhD student in theoretical particle physics, which can seem not connected at all with the feminist movement, but actually physics is a very male-dominated field. During my studies, I have experienced discrimination at different levels, and that has given me the strength to take part in the feminist movement. I have had the privilege of studying abroad in Belgium and in Sweden, where I started my activism there, taking part of feminist student groups. But in the last year, I have started my activism in Madrid, where I'm active in many organizations at the same time. In short, I am active in the feminist organization of my area, Feminismos Tetuán, in the feminist organization of my village, in the 8th of March movement of Madrid, and in the Commission of the Abortion Right of Madrid. When it comes to the national and the local context, it is a bit difficult for me to summarize what's going on just in Madrid, because both Madrid and the Spanish state have really strong social movements. And for each branch of a social movement, you can find plenty active organizations that you can collaborate with. So I'm just going to restrict myself and tell you about the 4 last events that have been going on in the feminist movement. A bit more than a month ago, it was the International Women's Day, and we had different actions, demonstrations, and performances all over the country, both the 8th of March and also the previous days. It was an exhausting organization that had a lot of last-minute changes in Madrid, because the government banned all the actions that were going to take place in the region of Madrid. Nevertheless, we still took the streets and in a decentralized way and showed that that was our day. Besides that, there are currently 2 relevant legal processes being developed. The first one is the presentation of the draw for transgender people, which proposes different aspects to improve their lives and is still under a construction process. And the second one is the preparation of the draft for the modification of the abortion law in Madrid. In this second one, I have been personally involved together with the Commission of the Abortion Right of Madrid, and we have presented to the government a set of demands that we would like to see in the modification of the current law. Lastly, but no less important, with Feminismos Tetuán, we have been fighting back groups of anti-abortion people that come to an abortion clinic of our area to harass women that want to get an abortion. The anti-abortion people are increasing their level of harassment every day, and it is still a problem. It's still an issue to be solved. When it comes to the cooperation that we have had with Natalia and Manifestatia Madrid, sorry if my pronunciation is not correct, we met them in November after the first demonstrations for the abortion right in Poland took place. They contacted the Commission of the Abortion Right in Madrid, and we organized together a concentration in the city center the same day that the parliament met to discuss the modification of the law in Poland. After the 18th of November, in Feminismos Tetuán, we have also supported them by recording a video where we shouted, I'm sorry if my pronunciation is wrong again, Nie jesteś sama, which means you are not alone. And besides that, we also have helped with the outreach using all the social media that we have. Lately, many of us have been in a post-8th of March hangover, but we are coming back together and starting to move again. So I'm sure that we will have further cooperation in the future. And that's everything that I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Patricia. Now you can hear me. Maybe it's better. Yes? Okay. Wow, that was amazing. Thank you for introducing everything and talking about you. Well, so I'll repeat again that I'm Natalia. I'm a 20-year-old student here in Madrid, and I came here in August 2020, and right away, when the whole abortion horror started in Poland in October, I felt very sad and that I couldn't be there, as I recently, before I was actively participating in many protests there against violation of human rights and women's rights, for climate and free cards. Therefore, I had an urge to be there. I couldn't. So what I did, I organized a protest here in October. I was alone here. I didn't have any Polish people here supporting me. But after I did the online event, surprisingly, a lot of Polish people from Madrid got interested, more than 400 people. I got more than 200 shares of the event, and then I got in contact with all the Polish women and men that I'm working now with, and we created our Manifestatia Madrid, which happened after the first protest. We basically started talking what to do next, what to organize next, and we did other protests. You mentioned before the protest that happened in November. That was in Puerta del Sol, which is a very big square in Madrid. That your feminist organization that you mentioned very helped us. They provided us with a megaphone so we could shout louder. They helped us to promote the event, to reach to social media, to press. They helped us to gain the authorization for more people than before, so we could do it bigger. Later, at first, our organization, our Manifestatia Madrid, which is now a collective, is an informal group. Our aim was to support women fighting in Poland, going out on the streets. But later, we got engaged in more actions, more different events, online, doing videos, posting pictures, supporting other actions. And now we are still in the process of developing, of coming up with new ideas, what we want to do next, what we want to tackle, what problems. But generally, our idea is to help, to support Polish women and to help women here, Polish women here in Madrid, and continue with our work here. As Patricia already said, our collaboration started with this first protest, and then later, during the Dia de los Inocentes, on the 28th of December, there was the one member of our manifestation joining you guys and representing us with helping you with action organized next to Dator Clinic. Later, during this commission for 8th of March, we had an active member of our collective working in the commission for you to prepare the whole 8th of March manifestation, which, as we know, was a very difficult one with the police and making it illegal, but we had to spread a lot. But at the end, 7th of March, we got to read our manifesto and lava pièce, be a part of you guys and with other women, not only from Spain, other women living in Madrid, wanting to take part in this International Women's Day. Well, and I hope that our collaboration won't stop here and we'll get to do any more events together.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Natalia. So I reappeared here because I'm a time manager for this panel. So unfortunately, this part of the panel is coming to an end. I would like to say big thank you for all the panelists. And I would like to share greetings from a couple of places. We've seen them in comments. So we have people also from Spain, from Denmark, from Germany, from Poland, watching us right now. So I would like to conclude this part of the panel. Thank you so much to all the panelists to present themselves. I'm really happy to see this spark of energy and movement that we are having. I hope we will keep on the good work, keep on being motivated. And when it comes to being inspired and good ideas, I hope they will emerge in a second part of our panel when we will have time for questions from the tandem that they will be asking one another. And I am moving now and leaving the stage to Gosia. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. It's actually a pleasure for me also as a person I'm Polish, living abroad, living in Berlin, to listen to how also the narrative on abortion and what is happening in Poland changes according to where we currently live. So, for instance, the places that you recall in London or in Madrid, where you major protests or groups that you work with, just show that probably you have taken something from them, maybe some modus operandi, so the way in which they operate, or maybe you learned some types of protests or demonstration that inspired you to take even more creative forms of for your activism to become even more creative. Well, the protests in Poland started in October 2020. The last wave of protests started in October 2020, not without a reason, we know that, right in the middle of another wave of the pandemic. And you can imagine how creative people had to become in order to keep it safe, but visible, numerous, and still convincing for other people to join and support in presence in times when meetings were not supposed to happen. So we are moving to the second part of the panel, where you will be able to exchange even more on things that you've learned from each other, or you've noticed that work for the other group operating in this country. We will again ask first the UK, and then they're coming. We'll come back, and then we'll go to Spain and ask you to take up this hard task of asking each other on things that you think could be beneficial for the public to hear from you, as they are based on the exchange of experiences, I'm sure. The floor is yours.
Hi, is it okay if I go first? Because actually,
Sure, go for it.
thank you. I had a question to Mara from Abortion Support Network, because both me and Alicia were Polish, working with Polish collectives. I was wondering, what is your view, what is your stance on this grim situation, regarding maybe the media coverage and just like the information that you got as a non-Polish person, just basing your knowledge of like the English sources?
Yeah, I actually follow the news in several countries as a holder of 2 passports. Yeah, it's interesting because people have very short memories. Yeah. And we still see this in a Northern Irish context, right? Where in the 12 years I've been doing this work in the UK, there will be a story about how somebody in Northern Ireland can't get an abortion. And people will be like, oh my goodness, that's terrible. We should do something about that. And then a year later, you know, and it's sort of the same. It's sort of the same with, I mean, Poland is slightly different because people are like, oh, it's a Catholic country. And I like to just slap those people because the majority of Catholics are on birth control. So you can't pick one thing in the Bible and then like say another thing, you know, you can't pick your sins like that. And I say this, by the way, as a person of faith, just not the Catholic faith. Although I have my favorite ex-husband is Catholic and my favorite ex-in-laws. I only have one ex-husband. So, you know, the thing that I got was, oh, the Constitutional Tribunal made this thing and it's going to make the getting an abortion in Poland horrible. I guess my problem is I always live in the dark and I always know what abortion access is for the people who are most marginalized or most at risk or most poor or most stigmatized or whatever. So for me, I sort of made the point in my first bit, which was like, wait, you guys are mad now? Like I've been mad at the situation for 1,000 years. Maybe not 1,000, but like, really? Now you're mad? But what's been really great about the protests and about, you know, all of the solidarity actions is that unlike after the 2016 little hiccup that everybody keeps talking about, now people aren't saying, oh, please, sir, could we please have abortion for fetal indication and rape and incest? They're saying, do you know what? Enough now. Just give us abortion. We're done. Give us abortion. You've overplayed your hand, both with abortion rights and with gay rights. And now just, you know, screw you and let's have some rights, please. Thanks.
I really love that you said that, because I feel like in a lot of media, especially like in English language media, it was basically like, you know, we woke up one day and there was no more abortions. It just happened like that. Well, like most of us, we have been protesting since at least 2016, which is like when the government started having those ideas. And I just really love that you mentioned that, because I feel like it should be definitely more covered, like historically and culturally.
I was just thinking that perhaps for the listeners of this panel, we could suggest maybe some sources of getting information, maybe in English language especially, on maybe news on the abortion laws. And I'm sure Mara would have some suggestions, having that much of experience in the area.
You have time to read? I'm a single mother helping people travel across borders for abortions during a global pandemic. What day is it? However, there was a really there's a thing called The Conversation. There's a website called The Conversation, and there's a woman called Sydney Culkin who is she's a professor at QMU. She's also a volunteer with Abortion Support Network. She did a very good article about Poland's abortion law just after the 22nd of October ruling. There's also, in terms of information about abortion, full stop, there's a website, Safe Abortion Women's Right, which is the organization. They have a crazy name. It's like the International Campaign for a Woman's Right to Safe Abortion or something, but it's They're really good. Their newsletter, if you want to know literally anything about what's going on from a political or policy perspective. Yeah, or you can go to www.asn.org.uk and sign up for our newsletter. But that pretty much just talks about the people who we're helping, and of course asks you all to give us a bit of dosh if you have any dosh to give, because abortions are expensive, and abortions during COVID are even more expensive.
I also, if I can add, I very like reading articles from Notes from Poland. It's like, it's on Facebook, and it's like they have a website, and they have a podcast as well, which is lovely. And many of my English speaking friends probably know that, because I just spam everyone with like articles from that newspaper. But I think it's very interesting because they provide information not only about like, oh, look, people are protesting, but they also provide kind of like historical, cultural background, because in reality you can't understand the Polish abortion protests without talking about religion in Poland, without talking about gay rights in Poland, without talking about populism, democracy. Like it's just all interconnected. So and in that website there's like everything. So I would definitely recommend that. I don't know, maybe I can write in a comment or something, but yeah.
Yeah, that was super interesting to hear, and you took all of my suggestions already, so I don't have anything to add. But it was great. It was great to hear all of those. I was just thinking, because I guess I'm just this kind of person in our collective, you know, that I just come in and I'm like, okay, what needs to be done? And then they tell me what needs to be done. And I don't know, I bring some specific equipment that they lack for this particular protest, or I create a graphic design or something like this. And I was just wondering, how do you guys manage these kind of things? Do you have it would be specifically a question to you, Veronica, maybe, in terms of protest, because I've attended your protest on Piccadilly Circus. I wasn't even a part of Tell Someone About Poland then, because I'm protesting since 2016 as well. But I was just thinking, because I guess for our collective, the next step would be to kind of start having, you know, different functions and things like that. And I'm sure Dziewuchy London have a lot of experience in that sense, and maybe you could share some of it. I'm sure the listeners would be interested in this as well.
Yeah, sure. Basically, I joined Dziewuchy this year after the 22nd of October, and we're basically kind of like divided into the main organization body, the supporting body, and the graphic designers. I'm kind of like in between of all that, because I do social media, I do some graphics, and I attend protests. The Piccadilly Circus protest, I wasn't there, which is interesting because those protests obviously were still happening while like the coronavirus situation is everywhere. The lockdown was not as strict back then, so we could actually organize a protest. But there has been many times in my life when I would be like, you know, going to protest was very important for me. It was kind of like therapy, because like right here I'm kind of like, you know, I mean, I can talk with my Polish friends and family through like social media. With anyone else here, I really have to like explain what's happening. So going to protest and just like joining people in this just like absolute rage was kind of like therapy for me. But at the same time, sometimes because of the coronavirus situations, I was just a bit scared. So I didn't go to all the protests. I ended up like, you know, staying at home sometimes, just being like, you know what, no, I don't feel like it today. Which I think is also like an interesting thing to talk about, like activist FOMO, because I get that like so much, especially when the like big protests were happening in Poland and I was here, and I was like, I want to go on the street with them and shout and like honk my like the car and everything, but I can't. So yeah, but mainly when it comes to protests like that, you have, yeah, it's like, as I said, we have like the main organization, people who are there to support, to like bring stuff, like you said, that like if something's needed, the social media and the graphics. I even prepared some stuff to like I had a shirt where I put like fake blood on it, and I put like I don't even remember the slogan. It was something like leave our bodies alone or something like that. And then I never ended up using it because I stayed at home. So yeah, but basically everyone's doing their best, I think, in the capacity. And I think that's what's very important in activism, because not everyone can give 100% at all times. You always, like, that's the whole point of activism, is that you're able to commit 70% now and then have a break. While you're having a break, someone else is committing 80%. So yeah, I think that's it from my side.
And how about helping from home? Because I think the ways to be doing that is also what we were. So, for example, supporting organization like the Abortion Support Network or Aborcyjny Dream Team that we all know well about. Because I was always sending actually the link to the crowdfunding for Aborcyjny Dream Team to all of my friends. I was like, guys, if you don't want to go, just put some money in there and everybody's going to be happy, honestly. And I am doing that myself too. And I was attending the protest in Piccadilly Circus just because I had my corona in September, so I was quite safe at that point. But I fully understand what you're saying.
I have a question for you guys, but also I just wanted to say, Alicia, that I love the Abortion Dream Team, but that crowdfunder, unfortunately, because it's a Polish crowdfunding platform, none of that money can pay for abortions. So that's an FYI. And it says so on the crowdfunding page, because it is illegal in Poland to help people with abortion. None of the money given to that crowdfunder can pay for abortions. So just FYI, it's been great to see the outpouring, and they're definitely funded for a while. But what I have a question, and it might be a little bit of a sad question. But do you guys see any impact of this sort of huge outpouring of support from Polish expats? Do we see any impact on that in Poland and on the Polish government? Like, do they care?
Can I start? I think they don't. The problem with the Polish government is that they live in their own little world, and they're creating their world. And our problem is, on the other hand, and I think the problem of the opposition in Poland is that we are trying to control that narrative, but we fail. And they are still controlling it. And we are trying to find a way, but we fail every time. So until the moment where we are able to create a narrative that would resonate with a bigger part of the society, and especially with the electorate of the Law and Justice Party, until that very moment, we won't be able to do much, because we are still moving around in our bubble. We are still talking and inviting people who are already supporting us. And I think it is a great challenge, and I keep on thinking about it every day. Literally, I'm sitting down and like, gosh, how do I do this? Because I can't engage in the narrative of the government, because it's just ugly for me. It really is. I struggle to read this, but I know I have to, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to incite any kind of change.
Yeah, I agree. And also with protests abroad, I feel like mostly I say that they are really for us abroad to show our solidarity and to just kind of like fight this activist FOMO. But I think it still makes an impact, because, I keep telling all my friends abroad about this situation. They have to be like so done with it at this point, because I just keep talking about it, and that creates impact, because then you have like the Guardian, BBC, and like everyone just like writing articles about this. And obviously the Polish government can just ignore it as they do, but it doesn't kind of just go into the ether and disappear, right? It's still like a trace And yeah, that's what I think.
I'm gonna jump in because for this round I am the timekeeper, and I want to say that as you know, like, the Polish government is not the only one seeing what is happening. It's so many other actors, stakeholders, associations, people that get inspired, and you know it. And if we stay quiet, it's not an answer at all, right? So I'm very proud and happy for what and grateful for what you do. Keep on doing that, please, and keep on building this intersectional feminism or approach, because it is true that we are feminists, we are feminist activists living abroad. I always feel like I come from elsewhere because I migrate a lot and change countries constantly. So every 2 or 3 years, I'm a newcomer in a new space, and that also redefines my own feminism and the way I look at women's rights, for instance. So now I would give the floor to our Spanish tandem, Natalia and Patricia. Welcome back. Maybe you will be able even to say a couple of words on how being internationally involved in women's rights struggle shaped you. And you need to unmute yourselves on your own.
I just had to do it again from my computer. Can you hear me? Okay. Could you repeat the question because I didn't hear it?
You know, this is the freestyle round where you can both ask questions to each other, but perhaps you would also could refer to this aspect of being abroad and cooperating with partners or feminist organizations of different origins, not only Polish or Spanish, I believe, right?
Yes, of course. Okay, I can start with that, and then later I will ask Patricia a very important question. So, well, starting with moving abroad for studies in a very young age, it was a big, let's say, challenge and also achievement that I'm proud of, that I'm, in my opinion, I'm breaking again. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but you're breaking. I would say try again. There's something wrong with the mic. You go like a bit robotic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe Patricia can start, then I will try to do it by phone again.
No, it's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, I was saying, they were saying that now your microphone works perfectly, Natalia. So if you wanna talk, then feel free, because we could hear you well now.
Okay, if you can hear me, yes?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Okay, well then continuing, I would describe my real connection now to feminism and to working in organizations, to really doing something. I'm very proud that I'm actually being a part of doing a change and fighting for what I believe in and helping other people I cannot be now with there in Poland. That it shaped me a lot, and I'm more I have bigger courage, and I feel like stronger, that I have the power actually. Is it the mic again bad?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening. Maybe.
Okay, Patricia, you go, and I will try to do it with my phone again.
Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe you can try to connect with your phone. Okay, so answering to your question, Gosha, I think that for me, taking part in the international feminist movement has helped me to know more, in principle, know more about other feminist fights, and also learn from them. I don't know if that's a good answer, but I think in general, when you're in a specific place, you only receive problems, or you only you cannot listen to all the problems, and at the end you only get to know a specific amount of problems that are going on in the world. But when you travel, I think, and you get engaged, in different communities, I think that is actually the change that happens to you, that it brought your perspective. And I don't know, maybe it's a bit of a too general answer, but I haven't thought much about it. I wanted to ask a question to Natalia, but I don't know if she will. Yeah, I will try to ask the question to you, and then if it works, then you can try to answer it. Otherwise, I can reply to the question that you do to me. Okay. So my question for me is that I wanted to ask you if you could tell us a bit more about the current state of the fight for the abortion right in Poland and what has happened recently, what kind of organizations are active, and also in what way you have been contributing and organizing from Madrid. That last part, maybe you have talked already a bit about it, but if you want to tell us more about it, then feel free.
Yes, okay, sure, thank you. Can you hear me better? Okay, good. Thank you for your question. And well, I would start with telling you more about what happened since the last we talked on the 8th of March, what happened during that time. So starting with the same day, 8th of March, Women's Day, there of course had been a protest in Warsaw, which was unfortunately extremely brutal from the police part, which a lot of beatings happened, and it was very nasty. It was a mess, and not really nice way to celebrate Women's Day. Moreover, there were almost or around 50 organizations fighting for human rights and working with Polish strike, women's strike, that received bomb threats, um, being as a payback for supporting women's strike, which also yesterday on the webinar, Marta Lempart talked about it, that nowadays she had to change her home, live somewhere else. There is nowhere to be safe. There are threats everywhere. The police is sending trials or letters to go to the police commissary. Police place. Marta Lempart also stated that she had 65 ongoing trials for fighting for Polish women's rights, which is crazy and not imaginable that during 21st century we're still fighting for this in the middle of Europe. Later on the 17th of March, also in Warsaw, there was a performance near the Ministry of Justice where girls were dressed in white dresses with some blood on it, locked in cages, with priests and policemen taking care that they are not escaping as a big show. And it was just to send a message of how women are treated, how they feel, that they are locked, they have no rights, that they are just under the control of men, of priests, of people in authorities. And then later, going on to the 30th of March, where the happened after the parliament voting for the to send the Istanbul Convention withdrawal bill later to the committee instead of rejecting it and just sending it as to the straight way going out of the Istanbul Convention, and which is protecting women from violence, domestic violence, violence in general. And it created another wave of protests, and small protests this time. People went to the police headquarters and constitutional tribunal and locked themselves attached to the neck with the things you do with the bike. So they are locked to the fences. And police, it was very peaceful, but police still acted in a very violent way. And again, many people were treated with violence. And ending with what happened recently in this weekend, 11th of April, also in Warsaw, after the 10th of April anniversary of Smolensk plane crash, which is celebrated every year. Many people went there to the Piłsudski Square in Warsaw, and with charcoal, with carbon, they drew hearts and crosses on the square in order to, and for memory for people that died from COVID. Also, many people were treated by police in a very violent way. The example is Babcia Kasia, that an older woman was just dragged to a police car with a big violence. So nowadays the fight is just so brutal for everyone that there is no safe place for police that should.
Oh no. Oh no. I think we lost Natalia in the very crucial moment where she was explaining the situation in Poland. Yes, in fact, there are tragic situations going on caused by the police violence and the state response to protesters, to people who want to stand for their basic rights. As time... Oh yeah, Natalia, you're back. Do you want to finish your sentence? You were cut right in
Yes,
the
I'm
middle
back.
of
I'm
the
sorry,
sentence.
my Wi-Fi just dropped. I don't know if we have time for me asking Patricia.
Oh no, I'm very confused with it. With this situation. Sorry.
If we have time for my question for Patricia.
You know what? I mean, I would say that we can stay another couple of minutes. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, should I directly answer? Because I know the question. Okay, I
Go
will
ahead.
just answer. So, like, what Natalia wanted to ask me is to tell you about the current situation of abortion in Spain. Like, if it's legal and if it's free for everyone and if it's accessible. And I just wanted to make a quick summary about how it works, if you're interested. In Spain, it's legal until week 14, and it has a mandatory reflection period of 3 days. Afterwards, it's possible until week 22 if you have a report from a doctor, and afterwards, you need a permission from a medical committee. However, we have many problems that complicate the accessibility to abortion, and because of that, there are different feminist organizations that are demanding changes to the law to guarantee this right. For example, in Spain, more than 80% of abortions are done in private clinics. Even if they are free, they are still done in private clinics, which contributes to the stigma and also allows the public healthcare system to not guarantee this service. The public healthcare system does not guarantee this service because of different reasons. First of all, there is a lack of formation within their professionals. It is not mandatory for them to have this formation after they are done with their studies. And also, it is allowed for them to do conscientiousness objection. So if they think that it's not ethical to perform abortions, they are allowed to not do them. But this causes several problems because there are hospitals and centers where there is no single professional that can perform an abortion. And because of this, many women every year have to travel to their cities and even other regions of Spain to get their abortions. And this delays all the process of getting the abortion. We don't know how many people how many professionals are doing this type of objection. But just this year and just yesterday, I learned that in Catalonia, for instance, 40% of professionals are doing conscientiousness objection. Finally, migrant women in irregular situations have no access to abortions. And because of this, we made these demands that I mentioned at the beginning. And if any of you is interested, they're in Spanish, and I'm going to write the link in the description if you want to read more about them. That was all.
Thanks a lot. I think it's great if you also share it in Spanish, because a huge part of the world speaks Spanish, and the more we keep each other updated and informed, the better. Like, the things that you say really show me again and again that we struggle with the same or similar systemic types of violence that accumulates in the women's body. I would like to thank you for being with us tonight. We have to come to an end. I mean, we promised ourselves to conclude the panel within 1 hour, so perhaps this is the right moment to do so. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for standing up for each other and for making noise for our common human rights when they are violated. A big heart to you as well from me. Everyone listening to us, watching us, this was a panel that was organized by the International Council of Polish Women. We are emerging. You are very welcome to join and support us. I would like to personally thank to Magda, who is in the backstage of this panel, and there she is. Thank you so much for your support and your technical skills that allowed us to make this panel so smooth. Thanks a lot. Magda, Victoria, Anya from Berlin, Anya living in Madrid, and Eva, all of you, thank you for the promotion that you've done, the graphics that you made, the concept and everything. You're amazing. The International Council of Polish Women at the end is as good as people that are in it. Oh, are we disappearing? No. Okay, so thank you for being with us tonight, and please join us. Follow the groups that were presented here tonight and support them if you can. So if you live in London, if you live in the UK, please go and try to find a local group that you can support, either one of those that you've seen tonight or any other group, because I'm sure that all of us local activists need support. So the more the better. You can say something. You can unmute yourselves and just say good night or the final word. I think this is almost the end. So
Yeah, thank you so much for organizing this. I really enjoyed it, and thank you to all of you that talked. It was really nice to be with you.
Thanks. See you soon, I hope.
I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk and really be here. It's amazing. I'm very sorry for my Wi-Fi, but I hope it was okay.
Yeah, I would also like to thank you, because I was so stressed before this meeting, and I'm like, oh, why is it ending? Like, you know, it's so nice to talk with everyone, like from like different organizations, different countries. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, I would like to say the same thing, that I didn't even notice the time passing. I didn't realize that we are already beyond 1 hour, and it was a great opportunity to meet you all and to hear how we are going for the same kind of goal, but in different sorts of ways, and how we can support each other in those different ways of doing things. It was amazing. Thank you.
I just wanted to say that, you know, these are hard times, and we've been in whatever we've been in for the last year. And while there are a lot of things going on and a lot of ways to get involved, just remember that whatever anybody does or doesn't do at any point in time is fine. You know, many hands make light work, and like, look at all the people on the panel and all the people who we know doing the work, you know, and so, you know, do what you can. And if you can't, that's okay.
Sure. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Magda,
Thank you. Bye.